Hello, simplifiers. Diana with Dinah Simplifies here. How are you doing? Well, I was going to update you on my doctor visit with the podiatrist after the MRI. I'll just talk about that quickly, and then I'm going to show you a few items I brought from my mom's home. I'm decluttering mom and dad's home just a little, not just a little at a time. Not much. I don't want dad freaking out. I really just take a few things out at a time, and I don't tell him what I'm doing. It cannot possibly use everything that's in that house. You know, he doesn't even know what's in the house at this point. There's just no way he's using all this stuff. So I brought a few things home to give away and some to keep. Okay, so I had the MRI, and then I got the MRI report on the portal, and it sounded like it wasn't actually a healed fracture, although it could, because again, I don't remember which foot I fractured. And the pain is in the area where I fractured whichever foot it was. So it could be a healed fracture. That could be a thing. We definitely know there's some, and the report said there was some arthritis on the joint, not surprising. And I've had pain there, so that didn't surprise me to be told there was arthritis there. And then he also, so anyway, the report talked about it looked more like it was something I was born with. They did, whatever the wording was, we Googled it, and it sounds like it's something I was born with. I couldn't tell from the report, he said blah, blah versus blah, blah. So I didn't know if he meant we can't tell if it's this or this. That's what I thought it said. And then Spencer's like, no, he means it's this, not this. So Spencer thought it meant I was born with it. It was not a fracture. Okay. So, and one thing, so if it's a fracture, it's sharp and jagged edges. And if you're born with it, it isn't. So it should show up if it's jagged or if it's not jagged. This is the part that's confusing to me, because the whole point of me going through the MRI, which I didn't even want to do. I didn't want the contrast. I didn't want the noise, and it was very uncomfortable. My back was what was so uncomfortable. None of that was anything I wanted to do. But I thought, if this is what shows if we need surgery or not. So I get to the podiatrist office, and he comes in, he's like, well, we can't tell if it's an old fracture or if you're born with it. And, if you keep having trouble, you'll have to have surgery. And I'm like, I went through this test for this answer? I don't know. Y'all, I'm so put off by doctors at this point. Nothing against him. I do not know him. But I was like, couldn't we have this is pretty much what the PA said before the MRI. Pretty much exactly what she said. I don't remember her mentioning a bone being removed. He said you'd have to have a bone removed and the joint will be fused. Maybe she did say it and I just didn't register. Maybe she said that. I remember her saying something about a joint fusion. I was like, no, I'm not having that much pain. I'm not interested in being cut open and having a joint fusion. So pretty much I got the same story from both of them. That's good. I'm glad you're agreeing. But the problem is, what was the point of the MRI? I had to drive like 45 minutes out of my way. I had to lay there and be very uncomfortable. What was the point? So I don't know. And then he mentioned, this was kind of funny but not funny, because nothing is ever done right. He mentioned the thing because he said, what is making it feel better? And I said, well, the Mobic, the anti-inflammatories, which in the meantime, I saw my primary care, and the only thing really wrong with my blood work panel was my BUN or BUN or whatever I don't know what they call it, BUN or BUN number, which is a kidney number, was a little bit elevated. The rest of the kidney numbers are not. So I actually don't think it's a big deal, because I think if all the numbers were elevated, that would be a problem. But just with one, it's not that I'm not concerned. I am concerned. So they said to me, don't take this, that, or the other, and don't take Mobic. And I was like, that's what I'm taking for my foot. But I don't even take it every day. So just now I took a Tylenol because I got to be on my feet a little bit to work with the kids. And I thought, I just don't really want to be irritated about my foot while I'm with the kids. So I'll just take a Tylenol. We'll see and it's not hurting right now, but we'll see if that just keeps it from starting. Anyway, he was asking me what helped, and I said, well, the Mobic and I mentioned that I'd gone to the orthopedic doctor because it was a walk-in, and they gave me the special shoe so my foot wouldn't bend. And He said, yeah, so you can get the inserts. And I said, yeah, I didn't order those yet because she told me what to get. And then when I look, you know how Amazon is, there's 5,000 of them. You don't know which one. Why don't they show you? So he got his computer. He said, it's kind of funny. He's a young guy. I'm not that old. He's probably, I don't know. He might be late 30s, early 40s, something like that. And he said, do you have an Amazon account? And I was like, yes. I mean, I know there's people that don't like Amazon. I get that. But yes, I have an Amazon account. I don't use it every day, but I got one. Anyway, and he got on there and he said, it's called, what was it called? Right to Play. RIGHT 2 TOPLAY. Right to Play. I think that's what it was. RTP. So it's a certain brand they want you to have. She never mentioned that. That would have narrowed it down some. Okay, what she told me was toe something. I can't remember what she told me. Turf toe. She said, just look up turf toe. Well, there's billions, and they all look different. They don't, it's not like you're looking at the same thing over and over. There were different things and different looks, and I was like, what am I supposed to be buying? I don't know what turf toe is. Never heard of it. It has something, it's like a carbon plate, and it's very firm. And so I think it's kind of like the special shoe, so your foot doesn't bend. I think that's the whole thing, so your foot doesn't bend. So if it's something that needs to heal, it can heal. And if it's something that's irritating you, it can heal, and you won't be bending your foot, because that's the whole thing. When you're walking, this part is where it is right here underneath my foot. And every time I'm walking and it's bending my foot, it's making it hurt. Not every day, not all day, every day, but sometimes. So, I don't know. So then he said, we have a sheet of paper? Because I said, well, I've got to take notes. Hang on, I got to take notes. And he goes, we have a sheet of paper with this on it. Did you not get that? No, I didn't get the sheet of paper. Nobody mentioned the sheet of paper. In fact, by the time I didn't write it down. By the time I got to the front desk, I didn't remember what it was called. And the lady went and asked, and still no sheet of paper. So you would think that would have jogged your memory. The lady can't remember what it's called. Oh yeah, you know what? We had a sheet of paper with this written on it with all the details. The right to play name, the whatever it's called, the carbon whatever, whatever the detail it says on there, get it in your shoe size so it'll fit in your shoe, blah, blah, blah. And I was like, we could have already done that. And then when I had this appointment, I could have just said, well, my foot's not even hurting anymore, because it wasn't hurting much when I saw her. And she said, well, that's a really good sign, but we still need to do the MRI. And I was like, I should have said at that point, I said, can we wait a few weeks? Can I get the thing for my shoe and just wait? Because I didn't want to do the MRI, and I certainly didn't want to do the contrast. And now I'm wondering, I've only had contrast twice that I remember anyway. The last time I had contrast, they tested me. They tested my kidneys before they started. They didn't do that this time. She goes, we're gonna put the, like they stick it in your arm. It's almost like it's an IV, but they just stick it in your arm. And it just goes into your veins, and you got this crap in your veins that you don't want. And so now the contrast can harm your kidneys. So I'm like, is this why my BUN number is high? It's slightly elevated, and I can't take Mobic anymore because they shot this stupid stuff in my arm. And then she said something, and I should have said, I don't want that, because she said, it's to look for infection. Okay, I've been on antibiotics for months for this. There's no way I have an infection. I mean, I may have an infection somewhere, but I would be completely shocked if somebody said I had an infection at this point. And then something about the blood vessels. Well, that wasn't even commented on. I saw nothing commented on that at all on the portal. I didn't see anything about no infection. I'm sure there was none. It would say, everything else is normal. So I guess that covers the blood vessels are normal. There is no infection, blah, blah. I guess that covers that. But it was like, that was not even brought up. So I'm like, great. So did the high doses of prednisone for the surgery, did that mess up my BUN number? Did the contrast mess it up? Did what little Mobic I've taken? They gave me 30. I don't even think I might have taken 15, maybe. But I was not taking it every day. I took it every day for about 10 days, and then I quit, and then I took a few more. So 15, 16 maybe, but I didn't even take 30. So I don't think the Mobic did it, but who knows? I don't know. Who knows? Anything's possible. It could have been a combination of all three. Maybe all three made it elevated. I don't know. So anyway, I'm irritated about the BUN being elevated because I've never had that problem before that I recall anyway. I don't know. It's just irritating. So I don't feel like I got anywhere with this visit except to find out exactly which toe plate or whatever it's called that I needed to buy for my shoe, which I still, by the way, haven't ordered. Melinda messaged me yesterday. She's like, have you got the toe plate yet? And I'm like, girl, I haven't even ordered it yet. Because I just, the special shoe, I already have it here. If my foot's hurting, or like if I'm driving, a lot of time it feels like it's irritating it when I'm driving. So if I'm driving, I just put the shoe on if I remember it, especially long distance. And then that way, because I think doing this, you know, like pressing the accelerator down, I think something about that is irritating my foot. I couldn't figure out if it was that or if it was because I'd been walking on the treadmill instead of the elliptical after the surgery. So I've cut the treadmill out completely in case that was it. And I really haven't even been, I think I've been on the elliptical maybe once or twice. I've pretty much cut that out. I started using the bike. They've got the lower bikes and the ones where you're sitting higher up like a real bike. I've been doing the higher sitting up bike, and then went back to the the rowing. They have a rowing. So I'm sitting. So the rowing and then the bike, I feel like that's not going to hurt my foot. It's not irritating me as far as I can tell. So that's where we are with that. I felt like that, none of that felt like an answer to me. So I guess the answer is, for me, I'd be having to have a lot worse problems before I would commit to having any sort of surgery on my foot, especially right now with the situation with my dad. I'm not interested in having a surgery right now. If it's an emergency, yes, I will go. You know, like the sinus thing, I knew I would still be able to go see him and do what I need to do for the most part. I mean, Spencer drove me, I think, the first week so I could go do a few things. Then I was exhausted from doing what I did. But, you know, I know that kind of was an emergency because I had so many polyps. You know, if you have polyps, they want you to get those removed. They don't want to wait around on that because I'm thinking any type of polyp can go into cancer. So you don't want to have polyps just sitting there. So also it was causing me to be all clogged up and have all this infection. So anyway, all right, to decluttering my dad's house. I was, my dad and I were talking about a key to a certain door at his house, and I was like, I know we have a key on a different key ring, but I'm not sure what happened to the key ring that goes to this particular door. Instead of looking where the keys usually are, because I thought I'd already looked there and hadn't found it, I cleaned out the desk that's right next to the door because I thought, well, maybe mom stuck the keys in this desk somewhere. And then I was glad I cleaned out the desk because I found a bunch of stuff that could just be put in a trash bag and thrown out. And I just snuck all that into trash bags when he wasn't looking. There's a family that I became friends with, one of the sons. We had a family member in Biloxi, is that right? In Biloxi, Mississippi, or close to Biloxi. I can't remember if we were actually in Biloxi. Anyway, we had a family member that lived there. We would go visit, so it'd be like a beach vacation for us. And although that's not the most beautiful beach in the world, you know, Destin's much better. You know, the beaches in Florida are much nicer. But anyway, Gulfport, it was Gulfport, it wasn't Biloxi, but they're next to each other. So anyway, Gulfport, the beach isn't beautiful, but it's a beach vacation, and there's places to eat, places to shop, and all that kind of stuff. So my parents took us there, and then I met a boy, and we got to be good friends, and his family was Greek. And they had like the most beautiful, you know, their accents were very beautiful. And then the mom, this was fascinating, the mom was deaf, and then she would speak to everybody in Greek. And then she would be talking to me, but because she was deaf, I couldn't really, you know, between her being Greek and being deaf, she knew English, but I could not understand her. So that was always a nightmare, trying to talk to her. She was lovely. She was a lovely person. So they were sending my parents these booklets, and for some reason, I'm really surprised my mom had kept these, because mom had been decluttering over the years. Mom would get down on me because I was, you know, she's like, why are you getting rid of everything? But mom had decluttered the entire house pretty much. She still has stuff. She had stuff, but she had gotten rid of a lot. So, I mean, so thank goodness. So it's not as overwhelming as it would be. So I went through the desk. I don't even know if I got rid of a third. Maybe I got rid of a fourth of the stuff that was in there. But one of the things that was in there was 3 booklets that they had put together. I guess the dad's name was Lauren. I guess the dad had put these booklets together and mailed them out to certain people, and they'd mailed them to my parents. And I was like, I can't believe my mom still has these, because I was friends with Ben was his name, and he had another brother named Jonathan. I was friends with both of them. And Johnny, wait, is that right? That can't be right. Brett. Ben, Brett, and Jonathan were the kids. And I was mostly friends with Ben, and then later I got to be a little bit closer. I'm not sure why, but a little bit closer with Brett. Maybe Ben had moved. I can't remember. Anyway, Brett and I started talking too. So anyway, But I couldn't believe my mom, there were 3 of these booklets, and they were pretty thick. I couldn't believe my mom had kept these. So I ripped out a couple pictures of the family, because that was kind of neat to have family pictures of them from way back when I was a teenager, when they were teenagers. I ripped the pictures out and threw everything else away, because I just didn't really care. Anyway, I found this bookmark of my mom's that she always kept in her Bible. I thought this was neat. This says Flowers of the Holy Lands on the back. So I kept that because she kept that in her Bible for so long. And she may still have, maybe she had 2 of these and maybe one's still in one of her Bibles. I don't know. But anyway, I kept that, brought it home. Then I was upstairs looking for something, and I didn't bring anything back from the desk. I threw a bunch of stuff away. I brought the pictures, which I'm not sure what I'll do with them. I think they might be in the other room. Then I was upstairs looking for something, and I found 3 purses stuck in a drawer. I thought I'd gotten rid of most of her stuff, but clearly I had not. I was digging around for something. These are actually kind of cute, but the handle is so short. I guess you can make it longer. Maybe I can make it long enough to work. These are actually kind of cute, and I like a black purse. And it's small. This one is wider, and I like it too. But, you know, and one thing, every time I kept her purses, within 2 months they've torn up because she just had them forever in a drawer. So this looks beautiful, but I can see it's probably gonna, you know, in a couple of months it'll probably tear up. And this one's wider than I would want. I think I'm just gonna give this one away, but it's a very nice purse. Somebody could use it for 2 months until it tears up. Now, remember me telling you that my mother was a bit on the abusive side as far as emotional and, look, Mom, okay, I wanna say this about my mom. She was the most fun person in the world when she was in a good mood. She was very moody, and it would be, you know, high highs and low lows. And so she was very moody. So I found this picture, and I found this interesting because this was the only little square picture like this that I think that I found. And we're the most unhappy looking group of people you've ever seen. And normally in pictures, I'm all smiles and happy, but I think that this is a good example of my childhood. My mother obviously is the one taking the picture. My brother's not in it. On the back, it's marked 1978, which in October, which means he would have been at college at that point because he graduated in 78. So in May, he would have graduated. In October, he would have been at college. So it's my dad, my sister, and me, and we look incredibly unhappy. So clearly my mother had some sort of blow up. Then she made a picture of us. Then she kept it. Not only that, she wrote on it, I'm not sure why, but she wrote on here twice, and it looks like it was 2 different times. Maybe because this was sort of fading a little bit. She wrote it again and kept it. Why would you keep such an unhappy looking picture of people? Now, my sister looks beautiful. That's my sister right there. My sister looks gorgeous, but she also looks very unhappy. I look incredibly unhappy. My dad does not look happy. And my dad's not an unhappy person. My dad's a very happy, my dad's even, you know, with my mom being so sick, my mother hardly ever smiled or laughed. I would say once she got on the walker, things just went downhill with her, and she just wasn't, and I get it. I'm not trying to say anything bad about her. I get it. I wouldn't be happy to be on a walker and be having balance issues either. But since Dad's been on it, you know, he's like really bad, like really, really bad. And he still laughs about stuff. But so to see my dad with this look on his face is just really strange. And the fact that she kept this, and she had this like with some important pictures. This was in with our wedding, Dawn's wedding pictures, my wedding pictures, her own wedding pictures, pictures of some of her family, and then this little snapshot, you know, nice big pictures. This little snapshot of us looking terribly unhappy. I'm like, I would have thrown this picture in the trash if it was me. I don't understand. Although my sister looks beautiful. Dawn looks like something straight out of Little House on the Prairie. She looks great, but and of course, I was a mousy looking kid. These glasses were horrible. Anyway, and I was looking in when I found the pictures, I was looking in some cabinets. My brother-in-law, I think it was my brother-in-law, gave my parents these books. I was telling Spencer, I said, Dad opened sort of like not the middle, but not the front of the book. But Spencer said, do you think it's because he opened it right here where this thing was and started writing? Because he didn't write on the first page. He wrote over here, and he was writing some medicines that he was given by the doctor. That was 2024. And then the next one was, again, on 2024, some more medicines. And he never wrote here again. And I was like, you know what? This is a good book for me to take notes at church. And I'm always having to buy stuff like this. Why buy it? And then Mother wrote the funniest thing. So apparently they got this Christmas Day 2023. So she wrote Christmas Day, December 25th, 2023. Her name's Mary, so she put Mary and her last name. Christmas, again, December 25th, 2023, from Ron Covington. Then she said, we had a great Christmas at our house with, she put all of Dawn's family and Spencer and Diana. And then Under that, she has Tuesday, December 26, 2023. Nothing is written next to it. The next line under, about 2 lines under, Wednesday, December 27th, 2023. Nothing is written by that. Thursday, December 28th, 2023. Nothing is written by that. Then there's an arrow and it says Friday, comma. And the interesting thing is her writing is really bad, which is interesting because in 2023, let's see, she died early 20, so it would have been another year when she got really sick. Oh, of course, she probably wasn't feeling well, but her writing is terrible down as it's going. But anyway, that's the last thing she wrote. I'll just show you. That's all she wrote in here. And it's just exactly what I told you. And then this whole book is empty. This whole book's empty. So it's a whole nother book. So it's like, you know what? I'm just taking he's not going to use those. So I just took them. And then I don't have much of my brother's, but this was given to my brother by my grandparents, and I'm sure he was young. Let's see. Yeah, Christmas 1963 to Richard Mark we called my grandparents, her name's Lula Mae. We called her Lulu. We did not call her like grandmother or anything. And then we called him, his name was Ned Richard, and we called him Dick. So we called him Dick Daddy. Although we're in the South, so we call it Daddy. Dick Daddy. Christmas 63. So now you understand the South a little bit better. If you hear somebody call somebody daddy, we don't really call him daddy. It's more of a daddy. Hi, daddy. I don't know. It's weird. Anyway, so it's old fashioned, very old fashioned. I thought, well, this is nice. I'm going to keep this book, and it'll be a little bit of a tribute to my brother because it was his. And then I found these two, and so I didn't bring every single book home that I found, but these were just stuck in a drawer. I brought these to have for me, and I tend to write my name and everything. So my name is written in here, right here, and I don't know that this is mine, but my name was written in it because I wrote my name on everything, so we never actually knew what was mine. Mother would say, this is your book, and I'd be like, Mom, I wrote my name and everything, so you can never tell if that was my book or not. I actually don't remember those books. I do remember this one. I don't think I wrote my name in this one, but I don't remember it. Yeah, I don't remember this one, but it's a nice old book. Here's an old Mother Goose. Old Little Red Hen. Anyway, I like these, so I'm keeping them. 59 cents. Look at the pictures. Aren't they darling? So anyway, I'm keeping all that. So that's not really a declutter. It was a declutter of their house. Get a few things out of their house and bring it to mine. But let me know what you think about that real unhappy picture. And why do you think my mother would keep that with wedding photos? Very strange, y'all. My mom... I don't know that it's even explainable why she would keep it or why it would be with wedding photos. But anyway, it's very odd. I got to get ready to go to Bible study. I'm almost ready. I've got to make my lunch real quick because sometimes we don't get out of there till almost 1. My sweet friend that helps me in Bible study has started a job. So she's, for this entire month, which is 5 weeks in this month, 5 Thursdays in this month, she is going to be leaving at noon. So I have to keep those kids. I don't know if they're going to send somebody in there. I'm not supposed to be with the kids by myself to begin with. I don't know. I'm going to have to try to remember to run to the bathroom real quick before she leaves, so I don't have to like have an emergency and like, now what do I do? But yeah, she's leaving. And then I haven't told the lady yet. I think I was already supposed to tell her if I wasn't coming back, but I just found out Maddie's not coming back. And now I'm like, I don't want to do it without Maddie. I might tell her I can fill in, but I swear I'd be there every week. If I fill in, I'll be there every week. She asked me, did I want to teach? And I was like, no. I didn't tell her I didn't want to come back at all. She was like, do you want to just teach the 2s and 3s? No. But then if I fill in, I'll be teaching, so I'll have to have the material. They'll have to like send me the material or like email it to me and I can print it off and read it or whatever, so I'll know what the lesson is. But so that's it's a lot more work if I fill in for somebody than actually just teaching. Honestly, teaching the class would be simpler. So I don't know. I don't even know if I should tell her I could. I don't know. Y'all, I don't know. I don't really want to go every week. I'd like to have a break because I'm not getting any sort of break. This week I've been in Jackson 3 times. I had to go to that doctor, and I made it on a Monday thinking I'd be with my dad. Well, then he had a Tuesday doctor appointment. I needed to be at that. Not even kidding. I was halfway there. They called my dad after 8 o'clock in the morning and said, we were canceling your appointment. Do you want to come next week, Tuesday or Wednesday? So he called me because he was like, well, you don't, I couldn't understand what he was saying, but the point of him calling me while I was driving was but I was in a bad area, so I couldn't, a bad cell area. I couldn't hear a thing he was saying. I could hear him talking, but I couldn't hear what he was saying or figure it out. So I didn't know if there was a problem or what. So I had Spencer just call. I was like, can you call my dad and see what he wants? So then he texted me. He's like, they canceled his appointment. So I didn't realize that Dad was calling to tell me I could turn around and go home. Well, I was already halfway there. And I hadn't been with him on Monday because all I did on Monday was go to the doctor. I drove with him at Jackson, go to the doctor, and turn around and drove back home. So I think what I may do if my foot keeps hurting me is I'm just going to find a doctor here because I already know I'm not having a surgery in Jackson. So I already knew I was going to find a doctor here if we were going to seriously talk about surgery. So I need to get my ducks in a row, find out who the good podiatrist is here. If I was going to have surgery, who would I want to go to? And get my records sent over or something. I don't know. I don't really want to have an appointment right now, but I need to have those records sent before because I don't want that MRI getting lost. Sure don't want to do that again. You know what I'm saying? So, although I guess the facility where I had it done, I guess they have the records. I don't know. I guess they would keep them for a while. I don't know how that works. Anyway, yeah, I don't know what to do but anyway, I'm having to drive to Jackson. Next week I have to drive to Jackson 3 times because I clean for one person in Jackson besides my dad. So Monday I clean for her. Wednesday I go to the doctor with Dad. Then Friday I go back to Dad's. You know, it's exhausting. And then Thursday I have to go to do the Bible study. The kids exhaust me. Just running around for 2.5 hours. It's almost, gosh, if we don't get out of there till almost 1, it's almost 3 hours because I get there at 10. And I'm having to do stuff before the kids get in there and I'm usually rushed. So, you know, rush. Then the kids come and there's a lot of uproar and because they're little, you know, it's just tiring. Last week I just wanted to come home and sit in a chair and go to sleep. So I just want a break, you know, I just want a break. And I know this woman doesn't have enough help and I know she's going to try to find a way to guilt trip me. And I don't want to do it without Maddie. I don't want to be a big baby, but I just don't want to do it without Maddie. We get along so well. And I just don't want to, you know, if Maddie hadn't gotten this new job, I would keep doing it, but I just don't want to do it. I just don't. So Maddie's leaving and now I want to also leave. Anyway, but I haven't told her yet. I haven't had enough guts to tell her. Anyway, y'all have a great day. I'll talk to you next time. Bye.